How did I pick up my American accent? This is the question that I'm going to answer in this video. I have a lot of English speaking friends who say that I sound like I lived in the US for a long time, but that's not true at all. I have never lived in any English speaking country. So, how did I acquire my accent? Let me give you a little bit of background. When I was around 20 years old, my aunt decided that something has to be done about my terrible grades at university, something has to be done about my terrible English, and she insisted that I start learning English because it would help me in the future, it would help me with my future job, it would change my life, blah blah blah, all this stuff. She suggested that she would pay for my lessons once a week with a teacher, and all I had to do is to study English. And I was like, that sounds like a great deal to me. I don't have to pay for anything, just study. Okay, I can do it. And our lessons consisted mainly of me listening to the podcasts. And if I'm being honest, this studying process was crazy. I didn't know any grammar, any vocabulary. I didn't know anything. I was a complete zero. I was basically studying by comprehensible input. I was consuming content and then trying to talk about this content, but it was very difficult because I didn't have any tools to express myself. And so I decided to stop studying with this particular teacher due to a particularly difficult period in my life. I was having a lot of troubles with my subjects at the university because I was working at that time, but my brain learned that, okay, it can be fun to learn languages. Let's come back to this later when we have a little bit more free time on our hands. And you may ask me, why am I telling you all this? Can't I just talk about the accent part? But the thing is, I want you to know my background, where I come from, what does my language learning journey look like, and everything in between. And another reason is that I was a complete zero at learning English for the majority of my life. I was horrible at English until I turned 20 years old. That's insane. I don't know what I was doing, honestly. Let's get back to the topic of this video. So at some point, I decided to part ways with my teacher. I decided, okay, I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna solve my problems at the university, and then I will come back even stronger. And so after some time, I celebrated my 20th birthday. And a couple of months after that, the summer break began. And I decided, okay, let's pick up a book. Let's try to read something in my native language. Now, I'm from Russia, so my native language is Russian, and I was like, okay, let's try to read some fantasy. I picked up some fantasy book and it was beautiful, but at some point I was thinking to myself, okay, if I like to read in Russian, maybe I can enjoy this activity as much in English. And just out of the blue, I decided, okay, let's try to read Harry Potter. I picked up the book, more precisely, I downloaded it on my e-reader, and this is when my language learning journey started for real. I discovered a whole new world for myself. Books, content, YouTube videos, TV series. I didn't have a teacher at that moment. Nobody was standing above me and telling me what to do. I was just doing it by myself. I was exploring the language and kind of doing my own thing. And as time went by, I started to become more and more confident. If we count all the hours I spent on learning English, we would see that I've worked on these 4 skills. We all know them: writing, reading, listening, and speaking. I tried to dedicate an equal amount of time to every skill, but today we're gonna focus on only one of them. To improve our accent, as you can guess, we need to focus on our speaking. We need to train our facial muscles, our tongues, to pronounce all these unfamiliar sounds. So what do we actually need to do in order to acquire American accent? What I did personally at the beginning of my journey, I was practicing shadowing a lot. I presume that you know about this exercise. It's when you repeat the English words after the native English speaker. You just kind of pronounce them after the person says them. And so I used to do it during my commutes. Every day when I would go to work, I would try to shadow a little bit during my commute. And so you might think that practicing shadowing on the bus or on the train or whatever is very weird. But here's the thing, I was doing it very, very quietly. So I was basically whispering to myself. It's called mouthing. Mouthing means to form words with the lips without making a sound. So this is what I was doing. I was listening to the podcast and I was trying to repeat every word the host said very, very quietly so nobody hears me, so nobody thinks that I'm a crazy dude completely out of my mind or something. And so this practice helped me a lot to start understanding how the English sounds work, what you need to do with your mouth to get these sounds right. And this was helping a lot, of course. This practice continued maybe for 1 year. And then after that, I was ready to practice shadowing more deliberately. The thing about this method is that you can do it almost everywhere you go, especially if you spend like a lot of hours on commuting to different places. You can totally jam some English practice into this activity. And so after you know the basics, you already don't sound very foreign. You already know how to pronounce, for example, R sound. You can say foreign, you can say different words, for example, world, war, prior, poor. You need to get a grasp on every sound, and then you can start practicing shadowing more deliberately. What I was doing, again, I discovered that I'm obsessed with reading. I think by that point of this video, it's very apparent. And so what I was doing, I would find the book on the internet that I want to read, and I would download this book in two formats. I would download this book in audio format, basically an audiobook, and I would download an ebook on my e-reader. And so I was doing basically three things at the same time when I was practicing this particular method. I was looking at the words in front of me on my desk. Then I was listening to the words the audiobook narrator was saying because I downloaded the audiobook. And so I was listening to the audiobook in my headphones and was trying to pronounce the words after the audiobook narrator. And because I was seeing the words in front of me, it was easier to produce these words because I was seeing them and I was also listening to them. And so I would repeat sentence by sentence. I would hear one sentence, I would pause the audiobook, and I would repeat the same sentence and basically read it at the same time. And I was able to read entire books by using this method, essentially. It may sound kinda clunky, but once you understand how to read and listen at the same time, and you are able to pronounce the words after the audio narrator as well, it allows you to consume a ton of information in English and to produce a ton of information in English as well. Just imagine that you're basically reading out loud with the correct pronunciation an entire book in English. It will do wonders for your pronunciation. And so this is kind of my method. This is how I was able to acquire the American pronunciation. Let me know in the comments if I explained it okay, if you understood everything. Maybe if you have some questions, you can ask me in the comments. And as always, if you liked the video, please leave a like, and I'll see you in the next one.